She combined these qualities with warmth, humor, and an unerring ability always to see the best in people.
For years, many royal watchers believed that one of the most controversial chapters in modern royal history had finally been closed. After decades of public scrutiny, endless headlines, and a journey that transformed one of the most debated figures in the monarchy into queen consort, it seemed that the story of Queen Camilla had reached its final destination. But what if the real story was only just beginning? And what if a quiet decision made behind palace walls has now triggered a chain of events that nobody saw coming? When Queen Camilla walked into Westminster Abbey during the historic coronation of King Charles III, the moment appeared symbolic in every possible way. Standing beside King Charles III as queen consort, Camilla seemed to have completed one of the most extraordinary transformations in royal family history. Yet according to reports circulating within royal circles, Princess and may never have viewed that coronation as the conclusion of the story. Instead, some believe Princess and saw it as the beginning of a new chapter, one that would eventually force difficult questions about the monarchy, legacy, and the long shadow left behind by Princess Diana. What makes this situation particularly fascinating is that Princess and has always been one of the most disciplined and private members of the royal family. Unlike Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, the Duchess of Sussex, who have often shared personal perspectives publicly, Princess and has built an image based on silence, duty, and unwavering commitment to the institution. Because of that reputation, whenever Princess and makes even the smallest move behind the scenes, palace insiders pay very close attention. And according to recent reports, Princess and may have quietly reached a conclusion regarding events that have shaped the monarchy for more than 3 decades. The reason this story is attracting so much attention is because Princess and possesses something that very few people inside Buckingham Palace can claim. Princess and is not simply a senior royal observer looking back on history. Princess and personally witnessed nearly every major moment that defined the complicated relationship between King Charles III, Princess Diana, and Camilla. Princess and watched the public controversy unfold during the 1990s, witnessed the collapse of the marriage between Charles and Diana, and remained inside the institution while the rest of the world debated what was happening behind palace walls. But here is where the story becomes even more intriguing. Reports suggest that Princess and has recently shown renewed interest in historical records connected to some of the monarchy's most sensitive years. While no official confirmation exists regarding the exact nature of these reviews, speculation surrounding royal archives has generated enormous discussion among royal commentators. Some observers believe Princess and wants future generations to understand how certain events unfolded from the perspective of those who lived through them, rather than from the version created through decades of media narratives. And if that interpretation is even partially accurate, what could that mean for Queen Camilla's long-term legacy within the royal family? Many royal experts have noted that legacy has become an increasingly important issue inside the monarchy. King Charles III is focused on defining his reign. Prince William, the future king, is focused on shaping the monarchy's future. Catherine, Princess of Wales, remains one of the institution's most trusted public figures. Meanwhile, Prince Harry and Meghan Markle continue to attract international attention from outside the traditional royal structure. Against that backdrop, questions about how history will remember Queen Camilla have quietly become more significant than ever before. Interestingly, reports surrounding Princess and do not describe dramatic confrontations or emotional disputes. Instead, reports suggest something far more strategic. Princess Anne's approach has allegedly been based on patience, documentation, and institutional memory. That distinction matters because within the monarchy, influence is often exercised through subtle decisions rather than public arguments. The royal family has survived for centuries precisely because major shifts frequently happen behind closed doors long before the public becomes aware of them. And that raises an important question for viewers. If Princess Anne truly believes certain aspects of royal history deserve closer examination, why is this happening now rather than years ago? Why would renewed attention emerge after Queen Camilla finally achieved the position many believed represented complete acceptance within the monarchy? Does this timing seem coincidental to you, or could larger forces be shaping events behind the scenes? What happened next only fueled further speculation. As discussions surrounding Princess and reportedly intensified, another development began attracting attention inside royal circles. While Princess, and was allegedly focused on history and legacy, Prince William appeared to be making a series of practical decisions that affected the structure of royal influence itself. Unlike dramatic royal scandals that dominate newspaper front pages, these decisions unfolded quietly through appointments, responsibilities, and institutional changes that most members of the public barely noticed. Yet some palace observers argue that these changes may ultimately prove far more significant than any headline-making controversy. Because while Queen Camilla was navigating questions about legacy, Prince William was steadily consolidating influence as the future king. And according to reports, some of the individuals connected to Queen Camilla's wider network began finding themselves increasingly absent from positions they had previously occupied for years. Was this simply routine modernization inside the monarchy? Or was something much larger beginning to take shape beneath the surface? Before we continue into the next chapter of this remarkable royal story and examine Prince William's increasingly influential role within the monarchy, take a moment to share your thoughts below. Do you believe Queen Camilla's recent challenges are connected to changing power dynamics inside the royal family, or do you think royal watchers are reading too much into ordinary events? And if you enjoy deep royal analysis, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications, because what happened next would leave many palace observers asking even bigger questions about the future of the monarchy. The deeper royal story begins to emerge when attention shifts away from public ceremonies and carefully staged appearances and moves toward something far more powerful inside the monarchy control. While royal headlines often focus on personal relationships, speeches, or public engagements, the reality is that influence within the royal family is frequently measured through institutions, estates, appointments, and the authority to shape decisions that may not become visible to the public until years later. And this is precisely where Prince William, the future king, appears to have been quietly strengthening his position. Many people outside royal circles rarely think about the Duchy of Cornwall, yet palace insiders have long understood that the Duchy of Cornwall represents far more than land, buildings, and financial assets. The Duchy of Cornwall is one of the most important sources of independent power available to the heir to the throne. When Queen Elizabeth II passed away and King Charles III became monarch, control of the duchy automatically transferred to Prince William. Overnight, Prince William inherited responsibility for an institution that has accumulated wealth, influence, and strategic importance over centuries. But something interesting happened almost immediately after Prince William assumed control. According to reports, Prince William did not approach the Duchy of Cornwall as a ceremonial inheritance. Instead, Prince William reportedly began reviewing operations, appointments, and long-standing arrangements with remarkable precision. Royal observers noticed that Prince William appeared determined to place personal trust and accountability at the center of every major decision. And while such actions might sound routine on the surface, some palace watchers believe those decisions carried much larger implications for the future direction of the monarchy. What would you do if you were preparing to become king one day? Would you preserve every existing structure, or would you quietly reshape the institution according to your own vision? That question becomes even more fascinating when discussions turn toward individuals connected to Queen Camilla's wider circle. One of the developments that generated considerable attention among royal commentators involved Annabel Elliot, Queen Camilla's sister. For years, Annabel Elliot had maintained professional connections through work associated with duchy properties during King Charles III's stewardship. Yet after Prince William became responsible for the Duchy of Cornwall, reports suggested that those arrangements gradually disappeared from official records. There was no public dispute, no dramatic announcement, and certainly no royal press conference explaining the change. Instead, the transition appeared calm, orderly, and almost invisible to anyone not paying close attention. And perhaps that subtlety is exactly why people started asking questions. Within the monarchy, major shifts are rarely announced through confrontation. More often, influence changes through a series of administrative decisions that appear unrelated when viewed individually but begin to form a larger pattern when examined together. Some royal experts argue that Prince William's approach reflects modern leadership rather than personal conflict. Others believe Prince William may be intentionally building a structure centered around complete loyalty as preparation for a future reign that could face enormous challenges. At the same time, Catherine, Princess of Wales, has become an increasingly important part of that future vision. Kate Middleton consistently ranks among the most respected members of the royal family, and Catherine, Princess of Wales, continues to strengthen public trust during a period when the monarchy faces growing scrutiny both inside Britain and internationally. Unlike the turbulent years dominated by royal drama involving Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, the Duchess of Sussex, Prince William and Catherine, Princess of Wales, have carefully cultivated an image focused on stability, responsibility, and continuity. That image matters because perception often becomes reality within royal institutions. As Prince William gradually assumes greater influence, every appointment, every patronage, and every strategic decision sends a message about what the future monarchy may look like. And according to some observers, those messages increasingly point toward a streamlined institution centered around Prince William, Catherine, Princess of Wales, and a trusted network of allies whose loyalty rests firmly with the future king. But this is where the story becomes even more complicated. At roughly the same time these institutional changes were unfolding, reports suggested that certain members connected to Queen Camilla's extended circle appeared less visible at important royal gatherings. Again, there were no official announcements explaining the changes. Yet palace insiders reportedly noticed subtle differences in attendance, responsibilities, and influence. Individually, each development could be dismissed as routine. Collectively, however, some commentators began asking whether a broader transition was taking place behind palace walls. Could Prince William simply be preparing for the future responsibilities of kingship? Or could Prince William be responding to memories and experiences that stretch back to one of the most painful chapters in royal family history? After all, Prince William's relationship with the legacy of Princess Diana remains one of the most emotionally significant factors in modern royal history. Unlike public observers who experienced those events through newspaper headlines, Prince William lived through the collapse of Charles and Diana's marriage, witnessed the intense media scrutiny surrounding Princess Diana, and carried those experiences into adulthood. And that raises a question that continues to divide royal watchers even today. Can personal history ever be completely separated from institutional decision-making, especially when the future king is involved? As reports about changing influence continued circulating through royal circles, another development suddenly captured attention and pushed speculation to an entirely different level. Because while Prince William was reportedly reshaping important areas of royal power, Queen Camilla made a property decision that stunned even seasoned palace observers. The speed of that decision would leave many asking whether Queen Camilla was simply making a practical financial choice, or preparing for a future that may look very different from the present. Before we examine the extraordinary story behind Queen Camilla's surprising property sale and why it generated so much discussion inside royal circles, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss our latest royal family updates. Because what happened next would transform quiet palace speculation into one of the most talked about royal mysteries of the year. The moment Queen Camilla's private countryside residence appeared on the property market, even experienced royal observers immediately sensed that something unusual was taking place. Royal properties are often bought, renovated, inherited, or repurposed, but this situation felt different from the beginning because Ray Mill House was never just another piece of real estate connected to the royal family. Ray Mill House represented something deeply personal to Queen Camilla, a place that existed outside Buckingham Palace, outside royal ceremonies, and outside the relentless pressure that comes with living at the center of the monarchy. That is precisely why the speed of what happened next raised so many questions. According to reports, Ray Mill House was sold extraordinarily quickly after being listed, creating immediate speculation across royal circles. While property transactions can happen for many reasons, palace watchers were struck by one detail above all others. Queen Camilla had reportedly maintained a strong emotional attachment to Ray Mill House for decades. Long before Queen Camilla became queen consort, long before King Charles III ascended to the throne, Ray Mill House served as a personal refuge where Queen Camilla could retreat from public scrutiny and maintain a sense of independence. So why would Queen Camilla suddenly choose to let go of a property that had played such an important role throughout her life? That question became even more significant when royal commentators began examining the broader context surrounding Queen Camilla's position within the monarchy. On paper, Queen Camilla currently enjoys access to some of the most prestigious royal residences in the United Kingdom. Buckingham Palace, Clarence House, Balmoral, and Sandringham all remain connected to the existing royal structure led by King Charles III. However, constitutional realities inside the monarchy create a different long-term picture, and Queen Camilla undoubtedly understands those realities better than almost anyone. The future of the monarchy revolves around succession, and succession inevitably changes everything. Once Prince William, the future king, eventually inherits the throne, the balance of influence inside the royal family will naturally shift toward a new generation. Catherine, Princess of Wales, will assume an even more prominent role. Prince William will oversee responsibilities that currently belong to King Charles III. The focus of public attention will move forward. That transition is not unusual because every monarchy operates through continuity, but for Queen Camilla, the transition could carry personal implications regarding residences, influence, and daily life. Could Queen Camilla have already begun preparing for that reality years before it arrives? Some royal observers believe that possibility cannot be ignored. Reports suggest Queen Camilla has always been known as a practical thinker, someone capable of separating emotion from necessity when circumstances require difficult decisions. If Queen Camilla concluded that maintaining Ray Mill House no longer served a practical purpose, then the sale could represent strategic planning rather than emotional surrender. Yet even that explanation leaves unanswered questions because people rarely part with deeply meaningful properties unless something has fundamentally changed in how the future is being viewed. And this is where the story becomes even more fascinating. At roughly the same time discussions about Ray Mill House intensified, reports continued emerging about subtle shifts occurring within Queen Camilla's wider network. Certain individuals long associated with Queen Camilla appeared less visible within royal activities. Certain connections that once seemed permanent suddenly appeared less influential. None of these developments amounted to dramatic public confrontations, yet together they created an atmosphere that many royal commentators found impossible to ignore. Within the royal family, influence rarely disappears overnight. Influence is usually reduced gradually through a series of small decisions that become meaningful only when viewed collectively. What would your reaction be if long-standing relationships, trusted allies, and familiar support structures slowly began changing around you? Would you view those developments as coincidence, or would you start looking for a larger explanation? Many royal experts argue that Queen Camilla's situation highlights one of the most challenging realities inside the monarchy. Public titles may appear permanent, but influence is constantly evolving. King Charles III understands that reality. Prince William understands that reality. Catherine, Princess of Wales, understands that reality. Even Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, the Duchess of Sussex, have experienced firsthand how dramatically royal influence can change depending on circumstances. For Queen Camilla, however, the challenge may be particularly unique because Queen Camilla spent decades fighting for acceptance within an institution that was initially reluctant to embrace such a controversial chapter of royal history. After years of criticism, public skepticism, and intense media attention, Queen Camilla eventually achieved full recognition as queen consort. The coronation seemed to symbolize victory over every obstacle that once appeared impossible to overcome. Yet history has a remarkable way of refusing to remain in the past. As conversations about Princess Diana's legacy continue influencing public opinion, and as Prince William increasingly shapes the future direction of the monarchy, Queen Camilla finds herself occupying a position that is simultaneously secure and uncertain. Officially, Queen Camilla's status remains unquestioned. Symbolically, however, discussions about legacy, memory, and historical interpretation continue evolving in ways that nobody can fully control. And perhaps that explains why the Ray Mill House sale attracted such extraordinary attention. Because for many royal watchers, the property transaction was never really about bricks, land, or financial value. The property transaction became a symbol that raised questions about preparation, transition, and adaptation inside one of the world's most famous families. But if Queen Camilla's property decision represented preparation for future changes, another royal figure was facing an entirely different challenge. While Queen Camilla reportedly adjusted to shifting circumstances, King Charles III found himself caught between competing forces inside the monarchy, forced to balance family relationships, institutional stability, and personal loyalty all at the same time. And according to reports, King Charles III's response to that delicate situation may reveal more about the future of the royal family than anything else we have discussed so far. Before we continue, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications because the next chapter of the story takes us directly into the difficult position facing King Charles III, a position that some royal insiders describe as one of the most complicated balancing acts of the modern monarchy. If there is one person who may understand every side of this complicated royal situation better than anyone else, it is King Charles III. That reality is what makes the current speculation surrounding the monarchy so fascinating. While public attention often focuses on Prince William, the future king, Queen Camilla, or even Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, the Duchess of Sussex, King Charles III remains positioned directly at the center of every major relationship involved in this unfolding story. And according to reports, that central position may have become both a source of authority and an enormous personal burden. What makes King Charles III's situation particularly difficult is that the challenges facing the monarchy today are not purely institutional. The challenges are deeply personal. On one side stands Queen Camilla, the woman who remained beside King Charles III through years of controversy, public criticism, and intense media scrutiny. On the other side stands Prince William, the future king and the person who will eventually inherit responsibility for the entire institution. At the same time, Princess Anne continues to carry significant influence through decades of experience, historical knowledge, and unwavering commitment to royal duty. How does any monarch successfully navigate competing loyalties involving a spouse, a son, and a sister, all while protecting the stability of the monarchy itself? According to various reports and royal commentators, that question may have become increasingly important over the last several years. While no public confrontation has taken place, observers have suggested that King Charles III has been forced to watch subtle shifts occur around him without necessarily possessing an easy solution. Unlike previous generations of monarchs who often enjoyed decades of stable reigns before major succession questions emerged, King Charles III inherited the throne later in life while simultaneously managing modern challenges that evolve at extraordinary speed. The timing matters because the monarchy is currently experiencing a gradual transfer of public attention toward the next generation. Prince William, the future king, and Catherine, Princess of Wales, continue to represent the long-term future of the royal family in the eyes of many supporters. Kate Middleton consistently generates positive public engagement, while Prince William increasingly assumes responsibilities that prepare the future king for eventual leadership. Every public appearance, charitable initiative, and institutional role undertaken by Prince William and Catherine, Princess of Wales, reinforces the idea that a transition is already quietly underway, even while King Charles III remains firmly on the throne. And this is where the story becomes especially intriguing. Some royal experts argue that King Charles III understands better than anyone that history moves forward whether individuals are ready for change or not. The monarchy has survived centuries precisely because each generation eventually passes responsibility to the next. Yet understanding that reality intellectually is very different from experiencing its emotional consequences within one's own family. King Charles III is not simply managing a constitutional institution. King Charles III is managing relationships shaped by decades of shared history, unresolved emotions, and competing perspectives regarding the monarchy's future direction. What would your approach be in that situation? Would you actively intervene in every disagreement, or would you allow events to develop naturally in hopes that tensions eventually resolve themselves? According to some reports, King Charles III has often preferred caution over confrontation. That preference may explain why certain developments associated with Queen Camilla, Prince William, and Princess Anne have unfolded without dramatic public intervention. Royal observers frequently note that silence within the monarchy does not necessarily indicate ignorance. In many cases, silence reflects a deliberate decision to avoid creating larger problems through unnecessary escalation. However, silence can also create uncertainty. As speculation surrounding Queen Camilla's future influence continues attracting attention, Some commentators have suggested that the absence of visible intervention from King Charles III has allowed palace narratives to develop independently. Whether those interpretations are accurate remains impossible to verify, but perception has always played a powerful role within royal life. Once public speculation gains momentum, even routine decisions can begin appearing more significant than originally intended. At the same time, Prince William's growing influence continues expanding across multiple areas of royal life. Through the Duchy of Cornwall, public initiatives, charitable leadership, and increasing visibility, Prince William has steadily strengthened the position expected of a future monarch. Catherine, Princess of Wales, has complemented that process by maintaining strong public support during periods when the monarchy has faced various challenges. Together, Prince William and Kate Middleton increasingly represent continuity, stability, and long-term planning. Yet another layer of complexity remains impossible to ignore. The memory of Princess Diana continues exerting extraordinary influence over public discussions involving the royal family. More than 2 decades after Princess Diana's death, public affection for Diana remains remarkably powerful. Every major development involving Prince William, King Charles III, and Queen Camilla is often interpreted through the lens of that historical legacy. Whether fair or unfair, the emotional connection many people feel toward Princess Diana continues shaping conversations about the monarchy today. And that lingering influence may help explain why seemingly ordinary events generate such intense attention. For some royal watchers, the questions surrounding Queen Camilla are not really about present-day administrative decisions. For others, the story revolves around historical accountability, legacy, and how future generations will remember one of the most controversial chapters in modern royal history. Those are not questions that can be answered through official statements or palace briefings. Those are questions that evolve gradually over time. But just when it seemed the story revolved primarily around institutional power and royal legacy, another factor emerged that brought the discussion back to something much more personal. Because beneath every title, every palace, and every constitutional responsibility lies a human story shaped by memory, loss, and experiences that never fully disappear. And in the next chapter, attention turns directly toward Prince William himself, because understanding Prince William's perspective may ultimately explain why so many of these developments continue attracting intense interest across royal circles. Before we continue, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications because the final part of this story explores the emotional dimension behind Prince William's position, and that perspective may change how many viewers interpret everything that has happened so far. As this remarkable royal story reaches its final chapter, the most important question may not be whether Queen Camilla sold Ray Millhouse quickly, whether princess and has been quietly reassessing royal history, or whether Prince William, the future king, has been steadily consolidating influence within the monarchy. The most important question may actually be much simpler and far more human. What happens when personal memory collides with institutional duty, and what happens when individuals who share the same family history remember that history in very different ways? For many royal commentators, understanding Prince William's position requires looking beyond official titles and constitutional responsibilities. Long before Prince William became the Prince of Wales, long before Prince William inherited control of the Duchy of Cornwall, and long before Prince William emerged as the future king expected to guide the monarchy through the coming decades, Prince William was a teenager experiencing one of the most painful public family tragedies in modern history. That reality does not automatically explain every decision associated with Prince William today, but it does provide important context that continues influencing how royal watchers interpret events. The reason this matters is because history inside the royal family rarely disappears completely. Unlike ordinary families whose private struggles remain private, the monarchy exists under constant public examination. Every disagreement, every reconciliation, and every major transition becomes part of a historical record that future generations revisit again and again. Prince William understands that reality. King Charles III understands that reality. Catherine, Princess of Wales, understands that reality. Even Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, the Duchess of Sussex, have experienced how difficult it can be to escape narratives that become permanently attached to royal life. And that raises a fascinating question. Can any member of the royal family truly separate the future from the past especially when some of the most significant moments in royal history continue shaping public perception decades later. Many observers believe Prince William's approach to leadership provides at least part of the answer. Unlike previous generations who often relied heavily on tradition alone, Prince William appears focused on building structures that prioritize accountability, efficiency, and long-term stability. Whether discussing charitable initiatives, environmental projects, duchy management, or public engagement, Prince William consistently presents an image centered around preparation for future responsibility. Catherine, Princess of Wales, has reinforced that image by maintaining a reputation for discipline, reliability, and measured leadership during periods of extraordinary public attention. Yet leadership is not simply about managing institutions. Leadership is also about managing expectations, emotions, and competing visions of what the monarchy should become. Some supporters admire Queen Camilla's resilience and point to the extraordinary journey that carried Queen Camilla from controversy to coronation. Other observers remain focused on Princess Diana's legacy and continue evaluating royal events through that emotional lens. Meanwhile, King Charles III remains responsible for preserving unity within a family that includes Prince William, Catherine, Princess of Wales, Prince Harry, Meghan Markle, the Duchess of Sussex, Princess and Queen Camilla herself. That balancing act becomes even more complicated when viewed through the lens of succession. The monarchy is moving toward a future where Prince William will eventually become king and Catherine, Princess of Wales, will become queen. Whether that transition occurs sooner or later, the reality of succession influences countless decisions happening today. Every appointment, every patronage, every institutional reform, and every strategic choice can be viewed as preparation for that future. Because of this, some royal experts believe many of the developments discussed throughout the story may have less to do with personal conflict and more to do with the natural evolution of royal power. But if that explanation is correct, why does so much speculation continue surrounding Queen Camilla? The answer may lie in symbolism. For many people, Queen Camilla represents one of the most controversial transformations in modern royal history. Few public figures have experienced such a dramatic shift in public perception over several decades. Queen Camilla moved from being one of the most criticized figures connected to the monarchy to standing beside King Charles III during one of the most important royal ceremonies of the 21st century. That journey alone guarantees that every major decision involving Queen Camilla will attract extraordinary attention. The sale of Ray Mill House, therefore, became more than a property transaction. The sale became a symbol onto which royal watchers projected larger questions about influence, succession, legacy, and the future direction of the monarchy. Whether those interpretations prove accurate remains impossible to know from the outside. What can be said with certainty is that the royal family continues operating within a unique environment where even seemingly ordinary decisions often generate extraordinary discussion. And perhaps that is the real lesson hidden within this entire story. The monarchy is not only shaped by official announcements and public ceremonies. The monarchy is also shaped by memory, perception, relationships, and the stories people choose to tell about the past. Princess, and may view certain events through one perspective. Queen Camilla may view those same events through another. Prince William may carry his own interpretation shaped by personal experience. King Charles III may see complexities invisible to everyone else. None of those perspectives necessarily cancel one another out, yet together they create the ongoing royal drama that continues fascinating audiences around the world. So what do you think? Was Queen Camilla's decision to sell Ray Mill House simply a practical financial choice made at the right time, or does the sale reflect larger changes quietly unfolding behind palace walls? Do you believe Prince William, the future king, is intentionally reshaping the monarchy, or are royal commentators reading too much into ordinary institutional decisions? Share your thoughts in the comments below, because this conversation is far from over. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the royal family, King Charles III, Queen Camilla, Prince William, Catherine, Princess of Wales, Prince Harry, and Meghan Markle, the Duchess of Sussex, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss our latest royal updates. The next chapter of the monarchy is already unfolding, and if recent events have taught us anything, It is that the most important royal stories often begin long before the public realizes that history is being written.